Welcome back to Persephone Says. Today's guest is someone I am so excited to have on here, Andrea Cole of DB Andrea. She is the best in floral preservation. She has made it cool and interesting, and I've mentioned her so many times on this podcast. We are so long overdue. If you haven't listened to our podcast together, the Bridal Club podcast, you must listen to that episode first, and this is part 2. Now, today we're going to talk about all of her path and her journey. She is an artist. She's an entrepreneur. She has turned something that is so deeply sentimental, a craft, into a thriving business and really a booming business. And we both have shared so many intersections of the same experience, almost living parallel lives in a lot of ways. And it wasn't until, frankly, WIPA that really brought us together.
And thank you for the introduction. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. So let's roll it back. So everyone knows that we're friends. And by the way, if you haven't caught her podcast, first plug your podcast because that's part 1 of this conversation.
Yes. So Bridal Club podcast on Instagram.
Yes,
we literally just recorded 2 days ago.
Yes,
and
we did.
I was interviewing you.
Yeah.
So this is going to be so exciting because this is part 2.
I know. And we were saying we're like a little nervous.
Yeah. I know. I'm
so
literally sweating. I don't know what is wrong with me.
I don't get nervous ever. Also.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I also haven't interviewed another podcaster. Which is
my God, stop. I look up to you so much. So yeah, seriously.
Stop. This is just going to be a love fest, guys. Forgive us, but also this is our friendship.
Yeah.
And let's roll it back because your background is so interesting. Your business is so interesting. And I know I said this briefly to you, but when I toured your space, we're friends. I know the expansiveness of the business. I didn't know it was like that. I'm going to be honest. It really floored me and made me so incredibly proud of you and to see your team and the layers and all of the things. So you started this business when?
So this started as a hobby in 2016. I will say that I always had an entrepreneurship little sparkle in me. And I feel like you did too, 100%. Ever since you were a little kid, right?
Exactly.
And I basically started preserving flowers because I learned that you could press flowers in books after finding a pansy. It was like a big pansy that was brown that Justin's grandmother pressed, my husband's. Press with him because I found later photos. Yeah, I know. I need to send them to you.
Yes,
they're so cute.
I want to see this.
Yeah. And so I found in the library again this beautiful book. I started browsing the book and all of a sudden like a big pansy falls, right? So I had no idea that you can actually preserve flowers. That was not taught in Mexico. I know a lot of people learn about that
too.
Yes.
That you are from Mexico.
Yeah. And anyway, so the next time that he gave me a beautiful bouquet of flowers, which was Valentine's Day, obviously I preserved them. And so I started just working on little things. I put them on my Instagram and personal face and people started gravitating towards them and asking me if they can buy stuff. And yeah, that's kind of like how it started.
I think for all of us, it always is that small curiosity. And you are one of the most curious people I have ever met. And we'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
Because that spark and that natural knack for education and information, I feel has allowed you to expand as you have. But okay, so you start this as a hobby, you share a little bit. My account also blew up very quickly. When I went to your studio and I was talking to your team and they told me like, yes, when we do the resin, it takes 2 months and we fill this up every other day or whatever. I was like, the level of detail that you have in everything that you do. How did you acquire that information?
Yeah, well, honestly, trial and error, because when I started doing this, there was nobody teaching courses anymore, like there are now. And going back to the story, what kind of pushed me through it, I will say that again, it started just as a hobby, right? I was selling things here and there. I had a corporate job for 7 years. And my husband, Justin, started his business about 6 months after we started dating. So literally,
I didn't know that. You both, wow, I didn't realize that.
So they're like both 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So, but months after I started pressing flowers, he started his business officially. Mine was not necessarily official. And he was coming home so late. So I would normally come back from my corporate job, have dinner ready at 7, and we would eat together. And every single night he started being like, hey, it's going to be 8, it's going to be 9, it's going to be 10. So I told my mom, I just don't know that I can continue this relationship. I think I'm going to break up with him because like you, I cannot sit still. I'm not going to watch a show on TV. And so my mom, being like very Catholic, right? She goes, Andrea, why don't you find yourself a lover? I was like, excuse me?
Oh my God. Stop. I did not know that.
She didn't mean it literally. She also, my father cheated on her. So obviously she didn't mean this literally. I was so confused. She goes, I don't mean it like that, right? But I do mean it like find yourself like a hobby or something that you're so passionate about that is going to make you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was already pressing flowers. I was like, I guess I'll just start really doing like making more art. And every time that Justin would call like, hey, I'm going to be 1 more hour late. I'm like, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started going to markets and stuff like that. So I became so obsessed with the craft and I couldn't find anybody doing exactly what my vision was. I did not want to create a piece of art with brown flowers, which it happens, right? Regardless of how vibrant you preserve the flowers. So anyways, that was kind of like what inspired the creativity was like, I became really obsessed.
Wow. And going back one step further, the corporate experience has really given you structure.
100%.
Which we both share in that experience, that corporate background, which I think right now, the rhetoric online is like anyone can be in business now. No, you got to work for other people to see how things are done.
Yeah.
And we both share that you do need to have that experience before you take this on, period.
I think so, especially because marketing is one department, right? Then there's sales and then there's HR and then there's accounting. And if you have that, there's no replacement for experience. And if you actually just go into a corporate job for a year or two, you really start learning about how a company's structured. Otherwise, it's just really difficult.
It is. And you have no reference point to it. I always go back to when Wedding Wear did this, or it's experience, just like anything else, right? So where were you working?
It's called Inner Ceramics. So it's like a tile manufacturer from Mexico, but they had offices here in the United States and China. And I was doing, again, older digital marketing for here in Canada from the website, social media, which was very new when I started. I remember I was there only for summer and they just kept me because I was just so upset. I would have left, but my mentor and my boss quit. And then I had a horrible boss that I just didn't understand why I was treated that way. Obviously, now looking back, I'm like, I am so blessed that she treated me that way. Otherwise, I would have been there right now.
Yes, it's actually horrible bosses are such a blessing.
Yes.
Actually.
Agreed.
Interesting. And so that was like your first job and then you owned a business. Same.
Really? Oh, yes, say that.
That's
right.
Like my only other experience is one other company.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was having this conversation with some of my colleagues. They're like, we worked here and we worked there. And I was like, I have one place.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, me too.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah.
It's delusional. I think we all share that delusion and encourage within ourselves to be able to like think that this is possible, right? So were you balancing and moonlighting where you had this job and then also pressing flowers and also building the momentum? Like, was that tipping point for you?
Yeah. I was working at night with my flowers in the weekend. So I was going to all the markets that I could think of. And honestly, at the end, it really was just time that I just could not get anywhere else because I was working 8 hours at work and then 30 minutes back and forth. So that's 9 hours a day.
Yeah.
Plus you're getting ready to go to work and dinner. Yeah. So I really didn't have more time. It was kind of like when I knew that I just needed to quit my job. And knowing of if I had those many hours to work inside of my business, oh my God. And it happened.
I mean, it's so wild that you're saying literally the exact same thing. That moment of, if I'm making this amount of money with this little baby amount of time, what happens when you put your full energy towards something? What's possible? It's endless. So were you making some good money to the point where you felt fearless as much as you can be fearless in quitting your full-time job?
Yes. I will say Justin did tell me like, just wait a little bit longer, wait a little bit, but I could not take it anymore. That horrible boss of mine. Yeah. And I was like, I cannot do this anymore. I told him one night and he's okay, then quit. I was like, really? Like, do it tomorrow. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. And it was so nerve-wracking that day. Even the day I quit, she was horrific to me. I used to go by Andy. She goes, Andy, you should have quit a long time ago. And I'm like, why didn't you just fire me then?
Fire an asset. You're not going to fire your workhorse. He's going to do the most for you. Yeah. That's wild.
And so when she said that, I'm like, I'm so glad I did this. But yeah.
Wow. Are you comfortable sharing the revenue that you had brought in up until that point?
Back then, I'm a corporate job, which they would never give me raises. She would never accept the raises. But I think I was making $55,000, right? Okay. And I was bringing home with my business about 20 to 30. But again,
whoa, 1,000.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's incredible. with this amount of time, just evenings and weekends,
Well,
just give me the chills.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But this is 2018, okay?
Right.
So this is 2 years after I had, or 1.5 years after I had started kind of like pressing flowers.
Sure.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily right away.
It's never right away. It's never right away.
Yeah. But again, I knew it was nerve-wracking because ultimately, if I basically caught the $55,000, that's a lot of money. But I proved myself that I could do that just with time, as I said, and I did. And I was like, I started killing it and killing it. And I remember, again, this is just random pieces of art, rarely doing any wedding bouquet preservation. And I remember when was it? I think it was November. I had already hired a team to help me here and there. And I think we brought home $16,000 to $20,000 just in that month. I was like, I made
You're like, I am crushing it.
Yeah. And back then I only had contractors here and there that would help me pack stuff and do markets. However, January hits and there's nobody buying Christmas presents anymore. There's no markets. Everything's dead. And I'm like, holy cow. I had just hired my first full-time employee.
Oh my God, I just got chills.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so pivot. So weddings. I had already been doing weddings. Weddings happen all the time. It's something so meaningful to the brides. And there was not a lot of resources or people doing this before.
And to be honest with you, you were really the first one to do this the way that you do it and at scale.
Yes.
There have been lots of people who we talked a lot about that on your episode, but you really do it at this level, at a luxury level, and also your process and the level of care and all of that, which similarly, when you were the first mover in something, it's exciting, obviously, but you also have no roadmap. There's no one to look at. And I do think you also made this business something that people didn't talk about. It was like something your grandmother did. To your point, Justin's grandmother pressed flowers, right? It wasn't something that people were talking about as like a gift or keepsake or anything like that. And especially given how much money is spent on your wedding and your flowers, why wouldn't you extend the life of that? It's bananas.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk more about that, but I want to go again one step further and backwards. You came to this country. When did that happen?
Yeah.
What was that like? Give me a little bit of that backstory, because I actually, as close as we are, I don't actually know the story.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, right?
It's really
I feel
weird.
Like we talk every day for the past 6 months, and the fact
At least
that we don't know the very beginnings is weird.
Isn't that bananas?
Yeah.
So when you mentioned it, I was like, no, I need to know.
Yeah.
So tell me.
So I grew up in Mexico. Mexico's basically in the Gulf of Mexico. And when I was the moment I decided that I should come to the United States, to Dallas specifically, because I had an aunt here for a year to learn English.
Okay.
And that was the plan. My parents had just gone through a divorce, and it was like literally within a few months to actually happening. And I told my mom, I don't think I want to do it unless you and my siblings come with me. And she's like, are you ready?
Are you good?
Yeah. She has her own business in Mexico. So she's, what did she do? Services to gas stations. She started with my dad, but then she kind of took over and then she kept.
Entrepreneur.
Oh, 100. So anyways, I somehow convinced them all to come to the United States. So we came here for a year to learn English. This obviously was like in the middle of high school. And we loved it so much. We stayed for a second year. My brother actually never went back.
Wow.
I'm obsessed with the system here. It's very different. And my sister, my mom and I went back to Mexico. And you probably have heard of the cartels of the Gulf cartels.
Yeah. Yep.
And they literally are in the Gulf of Mexico in my city, right? And so it started getting really bad. So bad that a lot of people were getting kidnapped. And a lot of people that we knew were getting kidnapped, including 2 of my uncles, and not at the same time. And
that is wild.
Yeah. Yes. Things like you see in movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happened to your family.
To my family, to friends, to my family's friends. And
my God, that's really traumatic.
Yes. You start living that every day and it becomes, I hate to say this, but almost expected.
I fully understand what you mean.
Yeah. Shootings, there were literally shootings every single day. And back then, social media and the communications that we have today, that was not the case then. So there was a blog. People would be like, okay, there's a shooting here and there's a shooting every single day. And so we that's how we would know where things were happening, but we couldn't go out anymore. I think the last drop, aside of obviously my uncles getting kidnapped, was a friend of mine my age got kidnapped too.
Absolutely no. And so your mom was just like, we're out of here.
Yeah. That, and then the last day that I went to school was a day that 3 people were hung from a bridge. And we drove by 5 minutes after they had taken them down. So when my mother learned that we're out, and the fact that we had lived in the United States before in Dallas, it was so easy to grab, a luggage each and come back to United States.
How old were you?
I was 18 the second time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I have chills. That's wild. Did you feel scared to then lift your life and your family and everything? What was that like?
I feel like most of my city, and I say that Tampico is a small city, 800,000 people, but community, like smaller communities, we know each other. Everybody knows each other.
Yep.
And at that point, everybody that I knew just went to either Mexico City, the United States, different countries in Europe, like that.
So everyone had an exodus. And so it was just like, we have to restart. When you came here, did your life change dramatically as far as quality of life and things of that nature?
As far as quality of life, it was basically restoring from scratch. The first time that I moved here, we literally just came here with a full minivan, you know? So we had to buy mattress, everything. And so we basically did it again, but with the experience that we had before. And knowing that ultimately my family was saved, right? And so the fact that I had that, we honestly kind of took this as an opportunity to do our lives here. And it was easier because we had already done it before. And
your mom was still able to run her business in Mexico?
Thankfully, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Because I was like, wait, does that mean that she also had to restart? Because that happens oftentimes.
Yes.
You have doctors who all of a sudden aren't considered doctors that come to this country. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah, true.
Wow.
Yeah. Thankfully, most of her team members are men. And it's different, obviously, if they're women. It just really worked out. So she was able to work digitally. Every once in a while, she would have to go. It was very scary.
That's wild. So then you come here, you start, so you're 18. So did you start college?
Yes, I was in my third semester of marketing in Mexico, and I had to basically, so two things. It was either going to SMU, the school that I really wanted to go and start from scratch, or going to UTD, start at the third semester. So I was like, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to get out of school. So I went to UTD. Looking back, I kind of wish that I hadn't made that decision, but I was saving basically 1.5 years. So yeah.
That was good. And then your English at that point was still second year that you've lived here, but like, it's still a brand new language.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I'll be honest. Like when I was in elementary school, literally half of my days in school were in English.
Okay.
So that really helped.
Thank goodness. Because I'm like, especially the older you are, the harder it is to adapt.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got this job. Fast forward, here you are. You start the business. Tell me the reason for the name. I don't know the story behind your name. Yeah.
Yes. So it started with Pressed Flower Crafts. And
it started.
It was like the very first thing. I think I launched my website a month after I started pressing flowers.
Okay.
Pressed Flower Crafts.
Okay.
First of all, I couldn't even say crafts.
Oh my
I can't
God.
still say crafts. So that was one of the reasons why I needed to change. And then I didn't want to just limit it to pressed flowers. At DB Andrea, I don't know exactly what DB Andrea will be one day.
Yeah.
But I just know that it's not going to be just flower preservation.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. And so it was really designed by Andrea, but it sounded like different if it was like DB Andrea.
Yeah. I love that so deeply. And you had a website when you launched or soon after you launched? That's crazy.
Oh my gosh. But I learned how to do websites in school. It's like easy peasy. And of course, back then it was Wix, right?
Yeah.
But back then it was, everybody was like, you made your own web. It was a big deal. I'm like,
totally.
Of course,
yeah.
So I really did have that advantage, to be honest.
Okay. And so then were you selling on Etsy? Like,
oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone starts on Etsy.
Yeah. Etsy, Instagram was huge for me.
Yeah.
Truly huge.
Really?
Yeah. Instagram is not what it used to be.
No, it's not, sadly.
Yeah.
You have to pay to play so much. So much. So now fast forward, we're 10 years in, you have so many offerings. Like, how did that start to come into play where you're like, now we're going to offer this? Because again, you and I are very similar. It's like when you see something, you start to shape and adapt.
Yeah.
So then what happened next?
Yeah. To me, is once you have an offering is what other problems can you solve? And when I started, it was I would create the art and not even sell it in a frame. And my mom was the one, I was like, that's easy. I don't want to deal with frames. I was like, I would never buy something that I have to personally go buy a frame. So like,
agree.
So it was like basically solving little problems. And at the end, I was like, what if I preserve flowers differently? And so that's kind of like how it started, but really just trying to solve more problems than what I was offering.
And then been refining this process of all of these additional problems / offerings, right? And are you, I think I know the answer to this, but you strike me as someone who's a practitioner. So you learn it first, you perfect it.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
How often do you still do your art?
Yeah. So Honestly, not very often.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah, tell me.
You went to the studio, so you kind of know the press pieces, right? You have the flowers, you take them apart, you press
petal
them.
by petal, okay?
Yeah.
Which I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
And she's like, yes, petal by petal. I was like, that feels like maddening.
Yeah, if you imagine the rose has 20 to 50 petals, right? So depending on what kind of rose, but you're pressing petal by petal for 2 to 3 months. After they're dried, you take them out of preservation, have a consultation with the bride, and then basically piece it back together and hand paint all the flowers to make sure that they look as close as possible to the way they did when they were fresh. Putting a piece together like that, like a 16 by, takes us an average like 10 hours, right? And so me doing that, if I spend my time doing that, 4 pieces would literally be 40 hours, right? So I understood that I needed to delegate that part, but I love it too, right? So what I do right now, and I'm a control freak in a way.
Same. You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be.
I mean, exactly. And so what I do now is I have different artists and I have a lead in each department. And every single time they design something, they send me a layout. I approve it or change things.
Cool.
And then after that's approved, they color restore, meaning again, hand paint. And they send me another photo just to make sure that the flowers are matching exactly like with a different eye, the actual flowers, because that's super important.
Totally.
And that's what I do. I'm basically refining. Yes.
Yeah, you're editing and refining, which is wonderful. So you're still in the creative process.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I love like every single time that we have something new, like I want to be the one working on that new thing. And that's kind of what excites me, to be honest. Always kind of like changing. And then I learn how to do it. I perfect it. And once it's like as close as possible to perfect, then I send it to somebody else.
It's so funny how similar we are in that regard, because that's exactly the same process for me, including podcasting and producing for other people. And obviously across every new offering that we have, I'm like, because it's a safe space for you and creative outlet for you. And you know that you're going to be able to get it there and then create the system, which we both are lovers of systems. We talked about that a lot on your podcast. But I want to talk about the growth. So you started, you're the first mover. You have this explosive growth. Then what happened? Yeah,
I do want to say I did not invent flower preservation. I just want to say that and put that out there. I definitely do believe that our company just refined the industry entirely.
Of course.
So how we...
And made it cool.
And made it really cool. How we grew. So to be frank with you, it's not what it used to be. And my return on investment before was 20x. I would spend $1, I would get 20. I would spend $2, I'd get 40. And so if you think about it, why not just throw money at it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so again, back then in
the days,
I didn't have any competitor. My meta was working. I was just like, oh my God, why not? Right.
Of course.
And so I really did start expanding and expanding. There was a point that I had 15 employees and contractors come to my house and go every single day.
To your house.
Yeah. Is that crazy?
Yes. So Justin, her husband, who's also a business owner, and Eddie and I all had dinner, and he mentioned that very like flippantly, like I knew that and I didn't know that. And I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me, reverse that. You had all these people coming in and out of your house before you had the studio.
Yeah. And I really wanted to be respectful of Justin's, because every time that he would come home, it needed to look like a home as much as possible. So we had folding chairs, folding tables that they would have. But the crazy thing is like they would have to put everything up. And then again. And so obviously we didn't touch our bedroom, the guest bedroom and our bathroom. Everything else is we had like stuff all over. So one day he comes home and I put everything from the guest bedroom toward a corner. And he was so upset. He's, what are we going to do when we have guests? I'm like, we've lived together for over 5 years. We've never had guests.
We're having no guests.
Yeah. But for him, it was more like, I cannot believe that you just built racks all over this place without even telling me, you need to get out of here. So it was definitely time for me to look for a commercial space. And that was in 2020. And so we made that move. And a little later, we outgrew the space, and we were absolutely killing it. We were like, Justin and I, he was doing so good as well. And we were both like, we made it. Oh my God, we freaking made it. Like, when are we going to buy like a private plane?
Of course.
It was insane.
When are we buy a private plane? Fuck yeah.
That was like literally our thoughts. It was like, we bought a building, and we bought a really badass building. You were there.
It is a badass building. And you heard me a couple weeks ago say that I now want to buy a building. It's because she said this, as did Emily Clark. And I'm like, I need a building. I need a building.
So that was like he's on the first floor. His 3 auto businesses are on the first floor. And I'm on the second floor. So
Were you scared to have that undertaking?
Yes, because It's a lot of money. Property taxes alone is like $50,000 to $60,000 a year. And we have to pay it. We're the owners. And I didn't really understand. Justin did tell me this. Like, once you buy a building, you're on the big leagues now. It's a lot of responsibility. And it sounded so easy because we were doing so well. I was like, we're fine. Until the economy started doing a lot of things. And here we are.
And here we are. But yet, and also you're still thriving. It's just different.
Yes.
It's just different. Are you at the same revenue level as you were during that period of time?
No.
Still.
So we were growing and doubling our sales year after year.
Wow.
What I really didn't understand though is like 2020, I didn't understand that all the weddings that stopped in 2020 got pushed to 2021, 2022. Yes. So now you're talking about each year having 1% of the weddings that normally they would have, right? And the free money. So the people that were spending, I'm just going to put a number out there, $100,000 in a wedding or whatever, they're probably spending way more because they have free money, right?
Yes.
And now they're like, oh my gosh, family, the things that you met.
Yeah.
So we were like killing it, absolutely killing it. What I didn't understand, which it happens to every single business, things go down, things go up, and then things stabilize. Right. And I didn't understand that.
Okay. I don't think I've ever said this, but I think this is a safe space to say this. When my dad told me that is how business operates, I was like, good for you, sir. Sit down and be quiet.
Same.
Right? I'm like, that's you, sir. I was like, that has not been my reality. It wasn't my reality at Wedding Wear. Every year I gave 150%. I got 150% return, like year after year after year. So that stabilized the dip. So we haven't talked about the fact that we work together, but we were working together. For me, you didn't know the worst literal time in my entire life.
No, until literally just like
very recently. Yeah. And then also right up against a very tumultuous election year where everyone is scared and they're pulling back all of their like financial decisions on all purchases,
which,
period.
Again, you and I had no idea.
How did we know? We were babies. We're children, basically, running companies. We both hadn't experienced that. And for me, I know leading up to an election year, no matter what it's like, I'm going to tighten my team no matter what. I'm not going to put myself in any sort of, but how would we know? And so all of that to say that ebb and flow and then stabilization, you can still achieve that again. It's going to feel different. Yeah. And you have the experience of scaling more strategically. So we shared, and this is actually how we became thick as thieves. I shared I scaled too fast.
Yes.
I apologize to you. I apologize to you because I think the experience should have been better and I didn't know what I didn't know. And it's just the truth. But also, I think I didn't know what you were experiencing on the flip side. I didn't know what that felt like also. And that what's happening, almost you're relinquishing control and you're out of control because this thing has worked. This has always worked this way. Like, why the fuck isn't it work?
Yeah.
Both of us. Yeah. Experiencing this
without the communication,
the communication,
we had no idea.
Yeah. Exactly, and also scaled so quickly. Both of us, having way too many people on the payroll, having way too many inefficient people on the payroll. The systems, you probably have more systems than I did because of the nature of your business. I was just like, fuck a system, let's just keep bringing it on in. But we were both experiencing this parallel life that we both recently realized, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Now you have the experience of knowing how to brick by brick figure this out so that as you are continuing to reinstate that spike, you can actually handle it. You know what you need. So what happened when you were growing too fast?
So many lessons, right? As you said, I had 5 employees at some point. You had 80 something. Ugh, yeah. I thought 25 was a lot.
25 is a lot in person. Mine are all virtual. That's a lot of bodies to be walking around.
Yeah, but virtual is like, how do you even control? At least I can control these girls,
right?
Yeah, and it's so funny because our operations manager, Patty, you met her.
She's such a sweetheart, yeah.
So she preserved on her own 25 bouquets in 2 days this week, right? By her own. Literally just a few years ago, I had a team of 5 doing that same amount. And sometimes they would stay until 11 p.m., which, by the way, I'd never required. Yeah.
Just
isn't that insane?
Yeah. No, but that's because she's efficient.
Exactly.
And she's an expert.
Yes. And another thing that I learned, and I think this was one of the biggest mistakes that I made, is the net profit, right? I wasn't paying attention to the net profit because I was paying attention to the top sales, just like you.
Literally the same exact experience. Girl, it's so bananas.
Yes. And the thing is, as my company grew, I was like, I want everybody. Yeah. I did not want when I asked for raises at my last job, they got denied. However, I would see them spend money here and there. And it's funny because after I quit, they tried to replace me and they failed multiple times. So I learned from that I never wanted to be like my old boss, right? If my company was doing well, I really wanted my employees to be like, I'm making so much money here. I'm so happy. I'm thriving. And so I started giving raises without them asking, but it was like constant multiple times per year. And honestly, they were doing such a great job. And just I would be careful with that. I'm like, we rely so much on them. And like, the problem though was that I had no idea that things were going to stabilize. And then all these girls have these incredible paychecks.
Yes.
And the company's suffering.
Yeah.
So literally.
And you're personally suffering.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Because
Yes.
I almost felt like I was like, how do you say this in English? Esclava? How do you have no idea? Like you're chained to your business.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you're
a slave. You're a slave. Yeah. Yeah. I do. I was like, I have to figure this one out. Yeah, no.
Yeah. So like you're working basically for them 24/7, whereas they're showing up with a magnificent like paycheck.
Yes.
8 hours per day. And so I literally just realized that, but I'm like restructuring all of their commissions now. Thank you. And yeah, it's just like big lessons that I wish I knew before, but you can't really, like, nobody will teach you.
You have to, unfortunately, just experience that yourself. And it's not because you're not a giving person. So I'm working with another friend / client on this exact same thing. And he was saying like, but they're so good to me. All of those things can be true. You can still show up and love on and all of those things and pay them very well. And also, this is all dictated on the health of the business. And I didn't understand that these two things actually have to be.
Same.
And most importantly, and maybe it's not the loveliest thing to say, but this is just the truth for any business owners. I need to be winning the biggest because I have all the risk and so do you.
Yeah.
And like the moment that you have that realization and you're like,
how did I end up here?
How did I do that? Yeah, I did this to me.
How is it that all my girls are like traveling and I'm the only one that I'm not? You know what I mean?
The year we didn't take a vacation with my family, that was the last time. It was the hellish years. And I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And also, how do I get out of the anxiety that it produces because you still need those people to do their job. And also you have to get it into a place where it's healthy again. Like, how did you navigate through and out of that situation?
Yeah. And we have, I mean, and last year, last year was better than the year before. Yes. And again, it really is just refining everything you're doing and just being smarter about your moves, right? We spoke about even networking events. I already canceled a few things and I'm like, I don't need to be there. Like, is it really going to move the needle if I show up? No, cancel them. I'm like, yeah. And even my time is going to that dinner. Are you really going to learn something that you can either apply to your personal life or your business? And if not, just maybe rethink what you're doing and your strategy and how you're spending your time.
I'm sorry, but it's just the truth. Like I think about the value of my time all the time, like the value of a phone call versus an audio note versus a text message. You have to, because we're being pulled in so many directions. And if I'm going to do this, it's to the detriment of that. So it better be really fucking worth it. Really fucking worth it. And we reconnected because we are in WIPA together, which we shared. And you really convinced me to do this. And I'm so thrilled. And I've told you this over and over again, but our relationship alone was enough. Thank you and good night. The amount that we shared together, all of that. But also from a business perspective, it's been fucking fantastic.
Good.
It has.
I told you, I just want to make sure that it's worth it for you.
I know,
and I need
you
to do
anything. That, but I'm wired that way.
I know. But I almost feel like it was my responsibility because I invited you, right? So I'm like, I'm going to take care of you.
I love you for that. But we're wired the same way. So I'm going to also make sure that you're it's like this constant, you're good, I'm good, great. And push-pull, which I absolutely love about our relationship. But also, if we're going to take this time to be in this room with these people, let's move it along. And let's make sure that we're doing the most. And you've given me, and I shared this on your episode, the permission to be expansive in that way, because that's just who I am, just as that is who you are. And so it wasn't until I think we were together 2 or 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago. And you weren't doing any networking whatsoever. And even sometimes still to this day, the way you talk about yourself in the industry is not accurate, actually, because you've been in it for so long.
But yes, I have been in the industry for a very long time. I was just not, we were growing so fast that I was just in my studio and I had a lot of sales coming online. I didn't really need to leave my studio.
Exactly. Yeah. The visibility is more of a new thing for you. So I'd love for you to share, especially because we love marketing and sales. Yeah. It's yet another wonderful thing that we share. What is the strategy today from a marketing perspective?
For my business or for just in general?
For the business today.
So for my business, I've always shown my face on Instagram a lot. Yes. I've always realized that I was a part of the brand and I obviously had to refine the way I was showing up because sometimes I would sharing things that I shouldn't have shared, like very personal stuff or like without, when I was in the midst of it, I think we spoke about it on part 1. And the way I show up now, I just really want to be inspiring. And at the end of the day, like either teaching something good and not whining. I never want to show up whining. Part of my marketing, honestly, and what is working is for me to be present in every single aspect of my business, but smarter, right? You cannot, as I said before, if I'm the one making the art, I'm never going to push the company forward. Yeah. So it's really just understanding how I need to be present in each part of my business. And if I'm able to have badasses like my operations manager right now and Vicky, she's incredible, right?
I love her. I wanted to, and I have an email teed up for her because she's just so impressive.
I know, I love her.
She reminds me of Nicole on my team, who's my right hand and my brain, honestly.
Yeah. And the coolest thing, though, is that she was always my friend before we started working together. That's so much. She's my best friend. It's she's awesome.
Of course, she's invested in you. She believes in you. And you can really have that person to be vulnerable and like...
Yeah. But if you have people like that, though, that is really when you can focus on your business and how to really do marketing and how to push, again, this industry forward. You and I are very similar in the way that if we're going to be involved with anything, we're going to make it badass or might as well just...
or not at all.
Yes, exactly. All the way in or all the way out. Yeah.
And so is it very largely social? Are you still doing paid? Are you doing email marketing? What is that?
Oh, yes. Because of my business and how I scaled it and the competitors followed. It is very competitive nowadays. So yes, there's a lot of paid.
So you've focusing your performance marketing efforts into Google and Meta.
Yes. Okay. Primarily. And of course, organic and referrals too. Okay.
Yeah. Of course. What about email marketing?
Email marketing, I do that too. Okay. So yes, we do have the welcome, abandoned cart, all the things. Okay. All the things.
What about email newsletters to just push new products and things of that nature?
Same.
Okay.
That's
all of the things. Okay. Yeah. What is the distribution of where the revenue is coming from?
I think most of it is actually coming from social media, even now, but the return on investment is not 20x, is 5x. With 5x is still 5x, right? It's really good. Yes. Yeah. However, again, it's not what it used to be at all. Yeah.
And then you started to go to networking things. You started to be involved in Webba. You started to figure out this path of, okay, which one are we going to? Which one are we not going to? Which we talk, you and I, a lot about all of that. And I think that's also helped a lot to just name, face, brand recognition over and over again, which is great. Yeah. And I feel like that's helped you refine your relationships, at least, especially in DFW. But I'm not going to push you for the national.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that you push me. You push me so much. And you're like, you send me a voicemail and you're like, can I push you a little bit? I'm like, absolutely. If it's coming from you, please. I want to know more. Oh my God, 100%. But I went to 2 Whippa events and I think I mentioned this in my podcast at least multiple times, but I was like, if I make a couple of connections and they refer I will be positive. Sure. And it just didn't work that way. I made connections and then never refer my business. And I was like, fuck this. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna serve on the board and I'm gonna really try to honestly give and help people and it's gonna come back. It has to, right? Marketing at the end of the day is so intuitive and it is.
It's not intuitive.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but it's I was going to say it's common sense, but
but it's not for everybody.
But it is, right?
Mathematics.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, marketing is treat others like how you want to be treated. And if you really apply that logic to your business, that's like marketing for you, right?
I fundamentally believe that to be true. It's completely changed how I move through my business because there was a phase where I made myself scarce. And like, that was the worst thing I did. In the worst part of my business, I also made myself scarce.
Like, I did the same thing, by the way. Why do we're booked. And Justin's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, no, you're not.
I was like, people like literally were calling me like, my wife is crying that she wants to send your bouquet. I'm like, I can't take it. And Justin's call him back. You're going to take it. charge double. I'm like,
no, but it's insane. So bizarre that I think that's a very, honestly, very Gen Z perspective that I feel like I've inherited. I'm good. I'll be in this tower. You little minions will be down here. And I'm just going to be doing my thing and being the visionary. Like, well, I don't know. It's fine. We learn. But again, going back to your scrappiness and your continuous desire to consume information, and that was also part of the starting part of our relationship was like coaching, which is so funny because like now
you were
we
my
do that.
coach.
Yeah, but also now you become mine.
Which is it's mind-blowing to me because you were somebody, you were somebody that I was like, okay, this is my coach. I'm learning so much from her. I just never thought that I could give you something. So
of course, well, you're a practitioner and you're a constant student.
Yeah.
As am I. So like that's a natural thing to happen, right? And our experiences are very similar, but different, but similar. And so one of the very crazy overlaps that we had was your mentor, Mindy, which you mentioned on your episode. And we acquired that relationship the exact same way, which I think would be really fascinating for you to share.
Really?
Yes. I paid the same amount.
Okay. So it's funny because my husband, Justin, has a podcast that we helped. Obviously, he's his brand. He's his newer. So he's launched just last year and mine has been around for 3 years. And we were thinking, okay, how can we scale our podcast even more? And the idea was, which we haven't implemented yet, and I don't know how we're going to do this yet. But my idea was like, okay, if people want to learn, a lot of people want to learn, and we love to teach and we love to learn ourselves too, right? We're always listening to podcasts and audiobooks and trying to take courses and looking for our next big mentor.
Exactly.
Like and so the idea was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a mentor for people, right? How can we have our guests be mentors for others? Because ultimately our guests, people look up to our guests and we have them on the podcast for a reason. So can you imagine, for instance, Julian, right? If you open a possibility for Julian to teach your audience something and then they pay, basically the audience pays you, you get a little cut, Julian gets the most. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah. So that is what I was thinking. Yeah. So anyways, I was like, okay, let's see if somebody is doing this, like badass people teaching. And so we started doing a lot of research and there was intro and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe you can actually learn from literal badasses.
Yes.
That every single company that's out there and the CEOs and oh my gosh, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah. So I was like, who's going to be my next mentor? And I found Mindy Wise. I'm like, of course. Yeah. So I booked a call with her. It was like 2 hours, 3 or something like that.
You paid the big amount. I paid for 30 minutes.
Oh, really? Oh no. I'm like, well, 30, I'm like 30 minutes. 30 minutes
is the hellos. Yeah.
I was like, I really, of course I had all my questions. I was like, I want to make sure that she learns about my business enough and she knows where I'm going. As I mentioned to you, which I thought I had told you, I mentioned your name, Persephone. And she's, oh yeah, Persephone. I was like, what?
Insane. That's insane.
Isn't that awesome though?
It is. Yeah. It is. Because we've spent time together, but it's been a while. Yeah. But also that is how I first got connected to her was I paid the money on the intro app. Yeah. Because I was like, I just want to be in her ether. I just want her to know who I am and be in her orb so that when I'm ready to go to her for something that
girlfriend you are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She's also no nonsense, no bullshit, and so humble.
And did you know that she only takes 2 mentorship calls a year?
I had no idea.
Yeah. And she told me that she's going to be on my podcast. So I'm still working on that right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know.
I just got chills. That's iconic. Yeah. She is so iconic and down to earth. That's like, there are people who are way less humble, who have done a fraction of the work that she has done. And she has scaled appropriately, like all of the things. So I just really wax poetic about her. She's on my dream list too.
So she was like, okay, I can be on your podcast. I would love, however, please don't ask me about Justin Bieber's wedding. Okay. I honestly really, you can look at that online. Like, I'm like, this is not.
Yeah. You're like, fine, we're good.
Okay. 100%. So anyways, still in the works. Hopefully we make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, now you can just be like, Mindy, here's the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Come on both, baby. No, that's really incredible. But again, I couldn't believe you were the only other person ever that knew about that opportunity, the intro app. And again, that to me signaled this hunger and desire for knowledge. Yeah. And you really do so much scaling of information and ingestion of information, then filtering it to see if it's applicable to you and then deploying it. Yeah. And we had that same kind of process. I'd love for you to just talk about some of those things that you have taken, for example, the surveying of your employees, the interview process. Tell me a little bit about that. That's been your refinement of how you've gotten here now.
Information is power, right? And knowing yourself, you think you know yourself and you really don't, unless you really dig. Because I haven't gone to therapy since I was like this. I was and I hated it, but I know you do. But knowing yourself and really knowing what really moves you, like how, like we spoke about meditation on my episode, that is a lot of power. And my husband and I are my husband and I are very similar. And honestly, he's my biggest inspiration. He's always learning. Yeah, he's always learning and pushing himself. And the guy can be dying with COVID and he's not going to miss a day of work, right? And I forgot the question.
We were talking about the application of like...
Oh, yeah.
He's your biggest inspiration.
Yeah, Justin? Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
I love that so much.
I don't know what I would do without him.
You guys have such a beautiful relationship, and now even knowing more on what you've overcome and have trudged through.
Yeah. And the coolest thing, you work with your husband directly. We don't, because we have different businesses. However, now with the podcast and stuff like that. And of course, we're always collaborating anyways. I mean, he is my partner after all. And if he learns something, I'll apply it. I learn something, I'll tell him and he'll apply it. But he worked for the Mercedes store, right? He was like the number one salesperson in the number 2 store in the world, basically, which is number 1. I think it was LA, just because they're open Sundays or whatever. Of course. But anyway, so he learned that whenever he applied to work there, he was given all these type of assessments to see where it was going to be the best fit to put him in. And so we started using this, and I told you this, and it's from a guy in Austin. And basically what that does is there's a ton of different assessments, and you send them to your candidates and you test for literally whatever, right? So if it's a sales position, it can be like questions about the sales. I always do, just because I want to know the brain power. I always do personality, because I want to know, okay, like, how is this person going to interact with everybody else? Is she going to work okay under pressure? Does she need more mentorship and stuff like that? I always do grit, and I always do... I always forget this one.
What about collaboration?
Collaboration is more like the personality, because it really does describe, and the reports are incredible. It really,
that's insane. I was like, we're not hiring really because we're keeping it tight and utilizing a lot of AI. But we have circulated that, because when we do hire the next person, that is going to be the process moving forward, because it's incredible. Yeah,
if you know about this and you still hire without it, you're not very smart. You know what I mean? Like
truly, it's
because it really does. And don't get me wrong, it's not like people can cheat still, right? However, it really does narrow down the position and to see if that's a good candidate for you. Yes. Again, we've literally have hired people and then lost them like a couple of weeks later and stuff like that. So it's not like just because you have that, but it really does help you. Yeah,
it does. And it really makes you multiple steps better in refinement of everything. And again, you have so many little tidbits of information like that I've now taken on and applied, because I'm like, I think sometimes I go into such a creative space and also an algorithm space of consuming what's happening for marketing versus like refinement on these specific paths, which you really inspired me to start, of course.
Twice.
But I mean it truly, to really pursue refinement in all directions, which is where I feel the most calm. I feel like now as a result of that.
Yeah, because sometimes, as you say, I'm in the creative space and I love it. And, it's not, and then I talk to you, I was like, oh my God, okay, thank you for saying that. And just to give you one example is I'm training people, and I think we mentioned this on episode 1, but I'm training people and it's costing thousands of dollars, right?
Insane amounts.
Tens of thousands of dollars. And you mentioned, aside of having the SOPs in place, why don't you do videos? I'm like,
yeah.
So I love talking business.
Always. Yeah. But I also love that because our personal life is our business life, and these things just like intersect. I'm curious to know how you now going through ups, downs, and then finding the stability and finding this refinement of self and refinement of your business. How do you celebrate wins?
Don't get me wrong. We're not where we used to be in 2021 and 2022.
And that's okay.
I know, but once you are in the top of a mountain and you've seen that view, you're not going to go back. You have to, you're not going to go back down.
No, you're not going to go back down.
You're going to literally go either for that one or a bigger one. And so that is very hard for me to be like, oh, good job. Like, why would I say good job to me if I'm not where I know I can be again and I'm not there yet? So that is honestly has been super hard. Vicky has always been so kind to me to say, if 5 years ago, if that girl would have looked up to you now, what would she say? Yes, of course, she would be very proud.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So she's always kind of like my biggest cheerleader when it comes to that. But I don't necessarily just pause and applaud myself. I don't.
I'm trying to be more reflective of that, truly. Even with our new branding and things of that nature, it has allowed me to take a step, like a reflective step to the side to be like, this is going well. This is going well. And what I will say to you is that though we too haven't achieved that mountain, however, we're profitable.
Yeah.
And however, you're profitable and you weren't then.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were for a second, but then you blew it on all these people and giving them all these fucking bonuses. So it's like you're smarter. You know that when you climb to that top, or not to that top, achieve that once again, it will be in a different way because you will be profitable.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And calmer and structured.
Yeah.
So I too went down the, why am I not, like, why are we? No, I am profitable. And isn't that why we're doing this to begin with? For our families, right? For ourselves, for our future selves. I don't know, that reframe for me has been very helpful. I felt so tense when I was there. I was not feeling how I wanted to feel or living the life that I wanted to live in that moment. I wasn't seeing my children present in my children's lives the way that I am now. I don't know. It's different.
It is true. It is so true. Multiple things that come to mind is we have learned so much about ourselves, Justin and myself, in these 5, or how many years has it been? Really 4 years, right? Our relationship is so much stronger. Our connection with even God has become so much stronger. The meditation, the routine, the way we are structured today, I do now looking back, right? Yes, we were super profitable. It was insane.
You were.
And that's why we built the building. And that's why we were like buying all these. So, however, I feel though, as though, again, looking back, that if we had continued to scale the way we were,
there you go.
Oh my gosh, we were not necessarily at peace with ourselves. We didn't know ourselves as much. So I do feel like everything happens for a reason, right? So I know whenever we get there again, or another mountain or a bigger one, which I know is going to be bigger, we're just going to really enjoy ourselves, because we are, even right now, our relationship is way stronger and stuff like that. We're not greedy. And I told you this before, just last year, we almost lost everything, right? And going back, it was very difficult because I'm like, oh my gosh, I worked so hard for all of this. And I know it's material things. On the other hand, they feel like trophies to me. And again, not because I'm materialistic, just because I've worked so hard and we don't do a lot of things. So however,
even if you are, who gives a damn? You work so hard. Like, why do you need to be apologetic about liking nice things? You don't.
Yeah. However, I did come to realization, we lose everything. Again, I've come to the United States without anything twice.
When you said that to me, I was like, because we came so dangerously close, not to losing everything, but to a place of such great discomfort where we could have gone under because our burn rate was too high. And there was no break. There was no breaks, period. And that feeling of like, you can literally fly off of a cliff financially and otherwise. Nothing will bring you to your knees more than that, but I actually don't believe everything happens for a reason. I actually fucking hate that. Yes.
We say 99.9% because there's evil for sure.
For sure.
Okay, tell me more.
But this is the reason why. I think that everything happens for an experience to be learned from, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, right? Like, because sometimes there's lots of things that I'm just like, no one needed to experience that, but what is it that I need to take from this? Is it I need to be more present with my family? I need to, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
That's my belief now, is I'm never going to make the same mistakes twice. And we both feel that.
Yes.
But also, as you're like building this other thing now that is bigger than just you, that is more refined than what it was. Like, how are you going to create more balance if you want that in your life? How are you going to create more of the life that you've wanted to have all around, right? I don't know. I hate that people like us who really care so deeply have to experience things like that. It's really painful and horrible, frankly. And also, we're resilient as fuck. So like, you're not going to take us down, period.
Yeah.
Period, hard stop. So we're going to figure it out. And like, I actually don't like the word pivot. I think it's just figure it out, like bob and weave through.
Yeah. And that's something that a lot of people don't like change. And I think we may have said this before, but they just don't like change. And if they don't appreciate the change and go, as you said, kind of like with the flow, they're probably not going to make it. You just have to understand that if you have a business idea in mind, it's most likely not going to end how you want it to. But if you work hard, it's going to end at a better place. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But again, it's just a lot of refinement. So that's kind of like my newest approach to even making a different offering in my business or thinking about a different business idea is I know this is what I'm going to do. I know it's going to be much better. And I don't attach myself to what I'm creating entirely just because I know it's going to be better. And I know, and I trust that if I just work my ass off, that it's going to get there. You know what I mean? Without knowing exactly what that is yet. Yeah.
We've shared so much on both podcasts and mutually among one another, but I'm curious to know, and we've also overcome lots of hardships as we've talked about. What is something that has surprised you in this business that you wish you knew and really wrapped your head around before starting? Even if it didn't matter hearing it, but it's been like a little bit of a surprise.
In this business, in the wedding industry?
Having a business, however you want to take that. It could be the wedding industry, because we talk about that all.
Yeah, I remember, I don't know if this is a good example or not, but we are both business owners and we're always thinking about business, right? Always. And how to do more things and offer more things, because that's just the way we are for some reason. I just know that we can do so much for this industry that is gonna like truly affect and revolutionize the way this industry is. And I think what I've learned, even, and I mentioned this earlier, right, was never supposed to just be flower preservation. And I don't know what that is yet. And like with you can truly, and you're touching so many people with this and with what you're doing and you're a speaker and like you teach.
But same with you. Like,
thank you.
But like same with you. You took floral preservation that was like literally something people thought about their grandmothers and made it interesting, and then became a thought leader and also a mentor and a thoughtful voice to people. So the same.
Yeah. And Lauren Kitchens, and I think I mentioned this to you, we had a little reunion when we were leaving at the same time, walking towards our car. She goes, Andrea, the luxury wedding has always been around the same. We know each other, and every once in a while somebody comes and it's newer. Sure. But Persephone and you are really changing this industry. I was like, me? I was like, oh my God. So anyways, for her, it's true. I'm like, I mean, because this is not like somebody just starting. I mean,
and it's a lot. And she doesn't say things gratuitously, and that's so kind. Truly.
Yeah, it is so kind on the one hand. On the other hand, it's like, I feel a lot of pressure, which I love because now I want to do more. What else can I do? How many people can we serve? And to truly make an impact, because I just know that, again, everything that we touch, we're going to be all in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love that attitude. And it's really encouraged me and pushed me. And again, I've ever thought in a billion years that I would have received a friendship like this from serving on a board that I was like, I don't know, Andrea, like as long as I have to do minimal amounts of everything. But we talk so much about everything else that's happening that actually it's made me have a safe space with you. Like you truly have created such a safe space for me to be honest about everything and to talk through things that like I know you've experienced, or at least you'll give me like sound advice or like sound direction that I haven't. There's very few people that I feel like I can actually confide in that way and like share numbers and know that's not going to go anywhere. Share like serious problems and I know that's not going to be like floating through the industry. And I actually wish and hope that by people listening to this, because we're also very strong people, we could be oil and water if we wanted to be.
Yes, and I was like literally just going to say that. Vicky, you met Vicky 2 days ago in person, and she was able to sit at our conversation and listen to the whole thing. And she literally texted me, I need to show the text. But she's, I love how Persephone is so genuine with you. And I'm like, yes, and we have not a single drop of jealousy. None. Which is so weird when it happens. Like, as you said, like, two type A's, you keep saying that I'm type A. I don't believe it.
You are.
But two type A, they can, what did you say? They
oil and water. Like, we could have been like, this is my space. No, especially being on the same position together.
And honestly, I was a little bit afraid of that too, to be honest. I was like, I just know I'm there for a reason and I'm serving. I have a purpose of being there.
Of course.
Ultimately, especially myself on the one hand. On the other hand, I want to make sure that I'm doing this, making sure that she's thriving because I felt, as I said, that was my kind of like my responsibility since I invited you. So I was like, how are we gonna make this
kill each other? But no, it's really worked. And I think part of that too is you're working with my team and then we have this very separate relationship that we can just kiki and talk about all the things. And also that's taking a lift off of all of what you were doing for
oh my gosh, yes. I'm so grateful for you and your team. You have no idea.
Gretchen.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Die for her.
Gretchen, I love you.
I love you so much, Gretchen. Literally. And I think that's also helped create, again, that safe space. But it could have gone really sideways. And I think about that. We haven't talked about that actually ever.
No.
But we're strong personalities. And even in meetings, which I love because you're like, we need to move on from this thing. And I'm like, thank God, because I don't know if I could be my truest self here because this would have been crushed a fucking hour ago.
Time is just precious and you have to be respectful of everybody's time.
Yes. But sometimes I only let my truest, most unhinged, aggressive version, badass version, if you will, really only share that with like a few people because it's really not for everyone's consumption. It wouldn't be received well for everybody. And I don't know if you know this, but I was almost fired from Wedding Wire for being that make money, fuck everyone.
But you know why though? It's because people didn't know your heart. Truly. And that honestly kind of happened to us years ago, right? We didn't know each other's heart. And I think that's
what a miss.
Yeah.
What a miss for both of us. I'm grateful that happened and that we're here, but we've never had this conversation.
No.
But you're completely right. We were both very guarded. And I've been told that I've come across as intimidating, which I think is so funny. People say the same thing about you and that you're guarded.
Me?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Give you names later.
Seriously?
Yeah, that you're guarded.
I've said this before multiple times, but I do have a resting bitch face and I cannot help it. And it's not on purpose. My sister goes, smile more. And you know how some people, you see the person and they're like smiling ear to ear and that's them.
Yes.
I've never been that way. In fact, when I was dancing ballet as a little kid, I was literally the best, but the girl who had the prettiest smile would always like grab everybody's attention. You know what I mean? So
totally.
But we're nice.
We're very nice. I said that to Eddie. I was like, I'm nice to people. I really love on people.
Yeah.
If I'm receiving that. Yeah. And even if I'm not receiving that, but you cross me, then like.
Oh yeah, don't mess with us, right? Like.
Forget it. Forget it forever. We will never be able to return back.
Exactly. And it's not like we're going to do something to them. Simply, basically like you're dead to me. Completely. I don't want to do, I don't want to, exactly. I don't want to see you.
Yep. I told you this, but sometimes I'll look over you. I will do that if you have wronged me.
Oh yeah. Period. I won't even remember your name. And this happens honestly with former employees like Justin Sorais. I'm like, who? Oh yeah, he worked for you for 3 years. I don't even remember his name. Like move forward. At the end of the day, you truly just, if there's a problem, you either resolve it or move forward, and that's odd. Again, the "you're dead to me" sounded perhaps a little harsh, but it's like, but again, it's like you're just focused, and we have goals, and everything else is just noise, and you just put it aside. That's really what it is.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. You need to come back on this podcast, please, dear Lord. I could talk to you for literally forever. Leave us with two things. What is the future for DB Andrea? Tell me, because you said you're cooking on something, you're not exactly sure, but next 5 years, what does that look like? What does that feel like for you?
Wow, next 5 years, I wish I knew the answer for that. Now, I'm getting into really, really badass pieces of furniture, which is something that I would really want to expand, kind of like this industry once again. Don't get me wrong, people are already doing some stuff like that, but I really want to do it with a twist.
Always.
And for me personally, one of my goals this year was I either want to do or be a speaker. And so I'm working towards that right now. I don't exactly know how that's going to shape, but I'm working on my website and I really hope that I can help more people because I love business and I really just love to continue to help people just be a better versions of themselves.
How can people contact you to work with you from a mentorship perspective or otherwise?
Yeah. So my flower preservation business is at my flower preservation business is designs.by.andrea. And then my personal, which I'm not using it quite yet, but that's gonna be my mentorship is Rat Cole. And finally, my podcast, if you haven't listened to part 1, you must, is at Brattle.
Thank you so much. I
Thank
love you so much for being here and for our friendship. And you mean so much to me. And you're going to be back.
Yeah.
You have to.
And you're going to be back on mine too.
Done.
I love you so much. Yep.
Love you so much. Next time. Bye.